Hey, what's up guys? My name is Moda and welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel. Today's video, we got a pretty big update coming from Bitmain today. Looks like they are going to launch a United States production line. Yes, looks like they are going to be making them on US soil. So we're going to talk about what's kind of leading into that and a lot of the benefits, because there's a ton of benefits and this is potentially a game changer here and something that we may see kind of go further and further with these other manufacturers, although they are actually not the first, right? We'll talk about that. We'll give our thoughts and opinions. So if that sounds good, guys, stay tuned. Let's get right to this thing. So this one kind of came out of nowhere just because it looks like not only are they launching it, but it looks like it might actually be even ready to go. Okay, so they did come out with a tweet today. Bitmain launching US production line. Bitmain is thrilled to announce the launch of its new production line in the United States. This strategic move aims to provide faster response times and more efficient services to the North American customers. The first batch of Antminer S21 Pro units will be delivered this December, so now, sometime probably the end of this month, providing a significant boost to our partners' mining competitiveness. Okay, so this is a pretty big deal. And initially reading it like, oh, it's a response to all the stuff going on, because as you guys recall, there have been issues with these things going through customs. There was a big article on Cointelegraph recently. So although I'm sure this expedited part of the process, this is something that most likely has been in the works for quite a while. Although I'm sure with everything going on, I'm sure they've been kind of expediting that. But it is a pretty big deal. Okay, so some of the benefits here. Number one, can get essentially rid of the resale practice. Okay, for those of us in the US, we have to import these things, so typically we go through a reseller in order to try to reduce the customs fees and the shipping costs, which can be quite excessive, in the 28% range for those of us here in the US. This could potentially eliminate that if they're being made here, because they're going to get shipped just domestically, so we're not going to have to worry about that tariff. Okay, so that can actually lead, at least for our side, reduce prices, because typically the price is cheaper directly from Bitmain, but you kind of end up losing it because of, again, those customs and duties fees depending on where you are at in the world. Okay, so big benefit there. Another thing is potential service warranty things hopefully can get expedited here. The fact that it's here, there could be quicker turnaround times, more expectation of a potential customer service here, just because now the fact that they are on US soil, if there are issues, it's not something where you're trying to fight the legal system abroad. Like, it's extremely difficult for anybody trying to go through those processes, but now that they are in the US, definitely a game changer. We'll see what it does to prices though, right? What is the main advantage with manufacturing and production lines overseas? Cheaper lines, right? So who's to say that although yes, we may get less tariff fees and everything, we'll see how it affects the miner prices as a whole. Okay, so, and we'll see even to what extent, like how extensive it's going to be. Obviously the chips are still going to be made overseas. Most likely it'll be something where they'll just ship the parts here and it'll get assembled here. We don't know the full extent of it, but again, like we mentioned, it's probably something that's been in the works for quite a while. Although I'm sure with everything going on, not only with just the custom things going on, but also with who's coming into the White House now, right? So there has been talks of potential tariffs and such potentially coming, especially with anything coming overseas. So again, nothing's been confirmed. It could just be bargaining chips, could be a lot of bark. We don't know what's going to actually happen. But just even that simple threat, if it makes at all for them to make sense to come to the US, they potentially will, right? So kind of a interesting move. Something we did see was potentially going to come. My initial thought was most likely that they were going to open up distribution sites here, right? That would be the easiest way to get all of these units in the US to just kind of get ahead of things in case it does kind of get crazy, because we don't know to what extent. We don't know how this stuff's going to go, so I'm sure a lot of them are going to do that as a preemptive measure. Not just Bitmain, I'm sure some of the other ones will as well. Will others do production lines here, though? It's hard to say, but ironically, actually, they're not the first, right? MicroBT, Antminer was actually one of the first. They actually did assemble certain batches. It's hard to say if they're still continuing to do this. Again, this was about 2 years ago, but they were actually making some here in the US. They did talk quite extensively about it. I'm not sure of the continuation. Is it still going on here? Is it not? It's hard to say, was it for certain big batches, for certain big buyers? There's also potential for that, but kind of digging through the article, one thing you can see here, again, this was 2 years ago, but at this time, so apparently the project encompasses everything after the chip level and has been secretly in the works for the last 3 years, right? So typically a lot of these operations, it's not something that they're going to put up in a month, like, oh, Trump won the presidency, here in a month we got it up and going. Like, this is something that's probably been in the planning phases for quite a while, and here we are now, right? Because again, a lot of their big customers are here in the US, are here in Texas, for example. A lot of the big industrial miners, a lot of sales here, a lot of things to go here. So this is definitely a potential game changer. We're going to have to see the extent of it, right? Is it going to be limited to primarily Bitcoin ASICs? Because again, that's what a lot of these industrial players are having, what they're buying. And this definitely would alleviate a lot of those issues, especially right now what they're currently having. Okay, so this is a pretty big news. We're going to see if others continue, because there has been, because as we mentioned, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Like, yes, if there was things going on with deliveries and they're having issues with customs, regulations, such, they're going to find a way. Either they'll get shipped from another location, or they'll open distribution sites here, which some of them have in the past. I believe AlphaPex has also been able to ship some from here locally in the US. That would, again, alleviate a lot of the confusion, especially for us little retail guys. It's a whole different ball game with these industrial sized farms, because again, they're ordering by the millions of dollars in orders, right? Versus us little plebs. Again, we are bottom on the total pole for anything, right? So I know there's been a lot of complaints regarding lack of customer service, lack of anything. In reality, as stupid as it sounds, we're almost lucky to be able to get any of the scraps currently, which right now, because of this bear market, there's been a ton of people buying, but as we've already seen, a lot of them, especially the ones that are already pumping, they are already selling out. And again, that was the name of the game last cycle. For any guys who were here last cycle, anytime during the mania phase, it was impossible to get any these things unless they were at like ridiculous price points, right? And then some of them that were like, okay, this was not too bad. There's an MOQ of 100, right? So they're not going to be dealing as much with us little plebs. So this is where it gets tricky, and this is where the smart companies, the smart players, or even stores, right? One of the few actually vendors that does have local availability here in the US is like Altair Tech. For any guys who purchase Bitcoin ASICs, I'm sure you guys have heard of them. They are one, I do have an affiliate with them, but again, the benefit there is they're actually one of the few who do stock these at times. They'll actually be able to ship from their St. Louis location, and kind of alleviates this whole burden on top of that, because again, it's already here, right? You don't have to worry about the potential 28% tax hit, or it getting pulled aside from customs and it being stuck there for months. So again, this is just going to be a phase where they're just going to have to adapt, right? That's going to be the big thing. And again, if there's a lot of worries here with customs, with the uncertainty there, they're going to adapt, right? By either, again, shipping from somewhere else, or opening up warehouses here, or in Bitmain's case, just moving a production line here, right? So this is going to be super interesting. We're definitely going to be following this and see how it progresses, and see if now it leads more interest in these other manufacturers to kind of follow this line, which I would not be surprised, and it would be definitely in their best interest for them to do that, or for other US manufacturers to continue to come in. Again, Jack Dorsey's company was supposed to also develop some here in the US on US soil. We'll see if that ever comes to fruition, but definitely things are changing, right? And this is kind of good change here. We're going to see the extent of it, but let me know in the comments, guys. What do you guys think? Are you guys a fan of this? Do you guys see this as a plus, as a minus? How do you think it's going to affect prices, right? Do you think actually, obviously, we're going to save those potential tax hits, but do you think the cost of these ASICs may actually go up from this because of potential increase in manufacturing, just because of wage comparisons between the US and abroad, right? Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Please comment, like, and subscribe, guys. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I am out.